kids dying. There are kids that are going to die in Gaza today because they've been starved to death over many weeks and months. And we can stop that. We can stop that. The world can stop that. Yeah, so I'm going to level with you guys. The crowd of people that's saying that starving disabled children or children with pre-existing medical conditions is somehow less evil is possibly the most evil group of people for defending this practice. It seems to be now that this mantra, which is kind of an echo of what we saw during COVID, where old people or people with pre-existing conditions, over which 1 million people died during the pandemic in this country, were somehow justifiable deaths, is a sickness that we thought, as liberals and people on the left, that we denounced entirely, because people who have hepatitis don't deserve to be starved to death, or people who have an immune deficiency disorder don't deserve to die of COVID. That's insane. It's diabolical. And yet this is what we're seeing from the Zionist pro-Israel crowd, is that for actually several weeks now, we've been flooded with these stories like, oh, they became the faces of starvation, but they actually have, cystic fibrosis, as if that's better. They were not starving before. They had these conditions and weren't starving. Now they have these conditions and they're starving. That is worse. That is way worse, that you would try to justify that kind of action. But it's reminiscent of this whole thing as if Israel is an exception to every rule and expectation. They are an almost perfect parallel to apartheid in South Africa. And it's just this piling on that has kind of devalued all accusations of anti-Semitism, because one of these stories was actually filed with this organization under anti-Semitism. They are saying that it's anti-Semitic to show pictures of starving children without also mentioning that those children have other conditions. I'd be remiss if I didn't also remind you that Anne Frank didn't die in a gas chamber. She wasn't burned alive. She died of typhus. Concentration camps breed diseases. We are seeing it in the United States, in Florida, and across other concentration camps where we've been kidnapping immigrants off the street and some U.S. citizens and sending them into these horrid conditions. But nothing compares to what's happening in Gaza. This kind of attempt to hijack public discourse in the framing of anti-Semitism for telling the truth about what's happening in Israel, which Israel has made infinitely more difficult after killing all of the journalists who are there and forbidding anybody to go in there or film what is happening there, is that much more important that we show these things and we don't give credence to any of these counter narratives that try to force themselves into the conversation, because it's sick. And honestly, there are kids dying. There are kids that are going to die in Gaza today because they've been starved to death over many weeks and months. And we can stop that. We can stop that. The world can stop that. And we're not. We're helping it. The United States is helping it. They've made us complicit in genocide. It makes me sick. It's not something that should be happening on this planet.